So we're here today at the Steel Creek Cemetery in Limestone Valley, and this story goes back quite a ways. This is one that there's a lady named Evelyn Flood that's done a lot of research in and around Newton County. She married a man that was from Newton County, and she's done a lot of work. We owe Evelyn a lot. And one of the things she talked about was the hanging in the Limestone Valley. Well, back during the war, of course, North Arkansas, southern Missouri was basically one big hotbed of guerrilla warfare. There were very little organized military battles, very little open field conflict, I guess you'd call it. But a lot of neighbor against neighbor, a lot of grudges were remembered and acted on. And one of the things that happened was there was so much division in the hills in Newton County was a good example of that. Limestone was kind of a hotbed of Confederate activity. A lot of guerrillas would hang out here, hide out here, recruit, and the Union would send in soldiers on, not really furlough, but on scouting. They call them going on scout. They would go and recruit for units that they were making. Towards the end of the war, they learned that they could recruit units, basically promise guys, you will stay in your neighborhood, because desertion was so high, they would go home to take care of their wives and children. And so when they had the promise of forming units to stay local, they took that opportunity. Well, while on scout in 1863, a couple guys from Company F, 1st Arkansas Infantry Union, were here somewhere close to the Limestone Valley. Well, the Confederates, under John Cecil, who was the first elected sheriff of Newton County and a Confederate guerrilla leader, they captured him. Well, they tied him up, took him to a cave somewhere not far from here, and they were discussing what to do with him. Well, overnight, one of the men produced a knife, the legend goes, and started cutting everybody loose. Well, the next morning, they discovered they had all escaped except for 3 of them. So there was Barry Stone, who was harboring these guys, so he was arrested with them, David Flood and James Smith, who were both in Company F, 1st Arkansas Infantry. And so they decided that they would hang them. So they took all 3, and the legend says they hanged them on the same branch down here, closer to the river. And they said 1 year later, the rope marks were still on the branch. That was something that was mentioned a lot. Bud Phillips, who wrote New Ozark Cousins, wrote about it. Evelyn Flood wrote about it. And it was such a huge event. The only mass hanging I'm aware of in Newton County, ever. They were cut down, brought here to the Steel Creek Cemetery, which is apparently not far from where they were hanged. And there's a little bit of contention. There's a large old tree down, it's actually several miles from where we're standing, that someone has carved Hanging Tree 1863 on. It's possible that's the tree. I'm not so certain. I don't know if that tree's really that old. They said the branch fell down in a storm years later, so the branch itself is gone. But that's where the legend says, but that's a long way to transport these guys. But I would think that they were probably hanging somewhere closer up on this mountain here, most likely. But either way, they were brought here to Steel Creek Cemetery. Well, I heard this story when I was a kid. I mean, you know, growing up around people, you hear thousands of stories. There's all kinds of great stories in the hills. And I decided that I would do something about it, so I started looking into it. I found Evelyn's writing, Bud Phillips's writing, the records from the Army, it's, you know, themselves about them going on scout and things. And I compiled everything best I could and wrote a story. Well, I ended up putting up a stone for them. It's been, I'd have to look at the date, it's been several years ago now. But I decided to put it up here in Steel Creek where they were allegedly buried. But that's the story of the mass hanging in the Limestone Valley, as it was called.